Oh, I've arrived in Nice, the French Riviera, here to top up my tan, enjoy this wonderful sea air, and of course experience some of the brilliant French cuisine. No, I'm not actually here for that. You've probably guessed it by now. I am here for the Ironman 70.3 World Championships. This is a huge event in the triathlon calendar, and the star-packed field just proves that. Well, we are going to be taking a closer look at the course and of course the athletes as well, to give you an idea of the excitement that's coming up in this weekend of racing. And yes, I did say we, because Fraser is going to be starting things off for us back at home in the GTN set.
Yes, Heather, it does look lovely and super down there in the French sunshine. So I hope you're enjoying yourself, but more importantly, are looking forward to the racing too. Now, talking about the racing, for many athletes, this weekend represents the pinnacle of their season. It's what they've been training all year for. It is to peak and perform at their very best at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships. Now, unlike Kona and the full Ironman distance, this event rotates its location around the globe each year. And this year, we're back to Europe and we're in Nice in the south of France. And boy, is there a rather testing course in store for the athletes. And this has attracted a whole host of the very best athletes, the likes of Lucy Charles-Barclay, Daniela Reeve, Holly Lawrence on the women's side. On the men's side, we've got the likes of Alistair Brownlee, Sebastian Kienle, Patrick Lang, to name just a few. Now, we're very lucky to have Heather heading out there on site to the event to get some content with the pros. But for now, here's our take on the course and some of those athletes racing. Now, the Ironman 70.3 World Championships understandably represents the pinnacle of the 70.3 calendar. And Ironman began a global rotation of this event way back in 2014, which allowed them to showcase the very best venues that they have to offer around the world. And this year it returns to Europe and is going to be in the Côte d'Azur region of France. Now, indeed, Nice has long had a rich and very historical association with long-distance triathlon. Indeed, they had their first race there way back in 1982 over the unique distance of 3 kilometers swimming, 120 kilometers riding, and 32 kilometers of running. However, the appetite for something longer grew in Nice, and since 2005, Ironman have hosted a full-distance event in that location, and it has since evolved into becoming one of the jewels of the Ironman World Circuit. Now, this course in Nice is both spectacular and unique, and very much unlike any other previous World Championship course. And this is due to the bike course being hilly and challenging, with both technical climbs and descents for the athletes to tackle. Indeed, the famed Col de Vence, which is 10 kilometers long, comes early in the bike ride, and that is followed by 20 kilometers of narrow and twisting descending around about the midpoint, which is going to be a real test of skills for the athletes. Indeed, it has got a lot of the athletes wondering whether they should actually opt for using a TT bike or maybe even opt for a road bike. In fact, we've seen an awful lot of the athletes on the start list for this championship heading out to the area months in advance just so they can recce the event and become more familiar with it for race day. Now, not forgetting that this is, of course, a triathlon, and believe us, there's certainly some interesting aspects to both the swim and the run portions of this run too. Now, starting off with that swim, it is a one-lap clockwise affair for the 1.9 kilometers, with athletes starting on the Quai des États-Unis on the beach before heading out into the Mediterranean Sea. And those sea temperatures are currently hovering around 24 or 25 degrees Celsius, which could well see wetsuits being deemed illegal for certainly the pros, but perhaps even the age groupers too, which will certainly add an interesting element to the race. And finally, onto the run, which is a 2-lap affair along the legendary Promenade des Anglais, arguably one of the most famed esplanades on Europe. However, unlike the bike course, this is almost an entirely flat half marathon with a mere 25 meters of elevation gain, meaning we are certainly going to see some extremely rapid run times. So now that we've had some discussion about the course, it's time that we actually drill down into the nitty-gritty of the athletes themselves. And in terms of scheduling, on Saturday of this weekend, we're going to have the pro women starting at 7 AM, with the age group wave starting some 8 minutes later, with physically challenged and hand cycle waves soon after that too. Fast forward a day to the Sunday and we will have exactly the same template rolling out for the men's racing as well. Now, before Heather actually headed off to Nice, she caught up with Ryan Cooper from Best Bike Split to have a chat to him about how this very unique course might be expected to affect the athletes and their predicted race times.
So Ryan, you've obviously done a good bit of analysis of this upcoming sort of technical, tough, hilly Nice course. The big climb being the Col d'Avance. How much of an impact is this going to have on the course, and what speeds are we like to see the pros actually going up this ascent?
Yeah, so in a typical 70.3 course, we usually see athletes, especially on the guys' side, around the 2 hour and 5 minute, 2 hour and 10 minute if it's a hard course kind of time overall. And we're looking at least 10 minutes added to that. This climb is pretty brutal, so you kind of have this first 6 mile incline section that's not as tough, that flattens out. And then the real climb is about 6 miles, and you're looking at speeds of around 20 to 25 kilometers an hour at most.
So obviously we've got this long sort of winding descent. What sort of top speeds are we likely to see from some of the pros?
So if it's a very good pro that's technically sound and comfortable on their bike, it's a little bit different on a tri bike than on a road bike. You'll see some speeds in excess of 60 kilometers an hour or 70 kilometers an hour on some of the straight sections. In general, though, with all the technical nature of the descent, you have some switchbacks, you have quite a few hairpins. Speeds won't be quite as fast as you would expect, given the fast nature of the descent and what the athlete's comfortable with on the descent.
And who is this course going to benefit? Like what athlete is this going to suit?
At first glance, you think, okay, the real power riders. I mean, obviously Daniela Ryf is going to do great no matter what the course is. And she trains quite a bit on hills and this low cadence. So you'll see her doing really well. I think Lucy Charles will do really well. Some of the lighter athletes, some of the ITU guys, Ben Canute, you look at those that are going to be out of the water early. I think that those athletes will tend to do pretty well on this bike course. Again, on the ITU side, they come from this background on being used to bike handling and road bikes, so it may give them a bit of an advantage on the descent as well.
Now, it's interesting to hear how Ryan thought this uniquely challenging course might affect some of those athletes. So on that note, we thought it would be interesting to, get an expert opinion on this. So Heather actually also spoke to Thorsten Radde from Tri Rating to get his very expert opinion on how he thinks that this race will unfold at the very pointy end of proceedings.
So Thorsten, in a sort of fairly succinct manner, if you could narrow down and give me your top 3 predictions for the men's and the women's race for the World Championships, but also how you think the race will pan out with, throughout with those 3.
Well, you're asking for almost the impossible thing, right? Let's start with the ladies, I guess, because they're the first ones to race on Saturday. Easy number 1 pick would be Daniela. Easy second pick, probably Holly Lawrence. And then easy third pick would be Lucy Charles. The tricky question will be how the order of these 3 athletes will turn out, but Daniela for me is still the clear favorite. Timing wise, my guess is that of course Lucy will lead after the swim. The order between Holly and Daniela will be the tricky one, because then maybe Holly can try and stay away a bit from her. I have all 3 of them running at pretty much the same time to each other. Probably Daniela, if things come to shove, will be the strongest runner there, but that's a bit of an interesting one. So I'm not sure how the race will turn out if all 3 of them step within seconds of each other of the bike, and that could be a really close battle. Well, Ellie Brownlee and Javier Gomez, second, third last year, those will be the 2 big names to watch. Third name will be the tricky one, I guess, to include there. As a German, I'll include Sebi Kienle just to mix it up a bit. But there's a lot more that could play a role. The Norwegians, the list could go down and down. A bunch of Americans that want to do well there. Dynamics again, Javi will be the one expected to probably struggle a bit on the bike, although he should be the strongest swimmer of those 3. How that will turn out, I've got no idea. Ellie and Javi coming out of the water together and then hammering on the bike, waiting for Sebi to catch up. That could be interesting. Sebi said he made a late decision to race there because he liked the course so much. I'm not sure whether he will be at 100% of his Kona form quite yet, but I'm sure he'll give it a nice hard effort on the bike and then, run again. With the 3, Sebi has been running extremely well this year in shorter races as well, but I don't think anyone will expect him to be able to match Ellie's or Javi's pace. And how it turns out between those two, again, probably too close to call. But if I had to put money down, I'd put it on Alistair this year.
Now, it is always interesting to get Thorsten's take on a race prediction, especially for big hitters going into a race like the World Championships. But I too would like to get my opinions across. So let's start with the women's racing, and we can't go any further than a firm favourite in Daniela Ryf from Switzerland, 4-time Ironman 70.3 champion and a 4-time Ironman World Champion as well. Absolutely no surprise that she goes in on top of the tree as the firm favourite. Now, let's not forget that she actually bases herself in the Swiss mountain town of St. Moritz, so she is going to be not at all daunted by those long alpine type climbs in this race. So another reason to firmly stamp that favourite marker on her. But let's not forget Holly Lawrence from Great Britain, who is actually the only other former world champion in this field, having taken that title at the 2016 Sunshine Coast Championship in Australia. She came second to Daniela Ryf in Oceanside at the start of this year and has been undefeated since, so she is also going to be looking to put her mark on this race. And finally, we've got Lucy Charles Barclay from the UK as well, who came second to Ryf at both the 2018 70.3 and World Championships, which means that she is going to be desperate to get one step further up on that step this year. She's been in imperious form this year, undefeated in her racing. So with her dominant racing, hard from the gun, absolutely motoring in the swim, I think she only knows one way, and that is to go for it from the start. Now, moving on to the men's favourites, and starting off with the reigning Olympic gold medalist and actually silver medalist from the World 70.3 Championships last year, and that is Great Britain's Alistair Brownlee. Now, having raced sparingly over his more familiar ITU format this year, focusing much more on long course racing, this is definitely a reason for him to come into this race as a favourite. But that also aside from the fact that he loves racing in the hills. He lives in the Yorkshire Dales and trains in a hilly environment all of the time. So these winding, twisting descents, they're not going to phase Alistair in any way whatsoever, which absolutely rubber stamps him, in my opinion, as the red hot favourite for this race. And then moving on to Spain's Javier Gomez, and you can argue that he is perhaps the most well-rounded and versatile athlete of our generation, having won at almost every triathlon format on the go. Indeed, he is a 2-time Ironman 70.3 champion from 2014 and 2017. But perhaps you could argue that it is his versatility that is perhaps his weakness. How so? Well, just last weekend he raced at the grand final in Lausanne over the Olympic distance, and you could argue that he's coming into this race perhaps a little bit tired compared to the other athletes and just not as well prepared in terms of the equipment that he's having to use on the TT bike and such. But if there is one person who can double up one weekend over to the next, Javier Gomez would be your man. Now, moving on to German athletes, because, well, let's face it, it wouldn't be a world championship without some uber Germans in the field. And without the reigning Ironman 70.3 champion in the form of Jan Frodeno, the mantle well and truly falls to Sebastian Kienle. And what a guy for it to have to fall onto. He himself is also a 2-time Ironman 70.3 champion in 2012 and 2013. And he absolutely thrives, like Alistair, on very hard and difficult bike rides. He is going to absolutely fly up the Col de Vence and the subsequent descent as well. And I think that given he is not exactly a slow runner either, he is certainly one to watch. A final contender that you could definitely hang your hat on is Norwegian Christian Blumenfeld. Now, very much like Gomez, he has also just come straight from the ITU Grand Final and has raced already. But the key difference here is that he just secured arguably the biggest victory of his short career. He is coming in as the ITU Grand Final winner, and he will be carrying waves of confidence with him into this race in Nice. And although you could argue that he's relatively inexperienced, only having done a handful of 70.3 distances, he is actually the current world record holder, having set that at the Bahrain 70.3 last December. And well, you can't see past a current record holder, so it is quite a cocktail there that he has to bring to the party. Right then, now that is me done here, but don't worry, because there are still plenty more athletes to have to watch out for this coming weekend. So on that note, I think it's about time I gave Heather a little bit more work to do.
Oh yes, I know I got the better deal, but that ice cream was pretty good. Anyway, Fraser, thank you very much for your insight onto the favourites, but this is a World Championship, so we're going to see athletes really reaching their A game and peaking in their performance for this, and that means there are several more that just can't be ruled out. Now recently we've seen quite an uprise of athletes moving from ITU into the middle and long distance, and two to note from this season are Chelsea Sodaro of the USA and India Lee from Great Britain, both who in their first year have won their events, so will be coming into this with plenty of confidence. Another athlete who has just come off the back of an impressive win was Emma Pallant, who won Ironman 70.3 Vichy with that very strong run. It's just whether the tough bike course here will still allow her to unleash her weapon when it comes to the run. Well, on top of the speedy athletes moving up from ITU, we've also got the seasoned pros who certainly know how to perform over this distance, including the likes of Radke Kalfelt and Ellie Salthaus, both who between them have had numerous wins over 70.3 and will be coming into these World Championships using that experience to help them deal with this pressured situation. And another athlete who has performed at the top but in ITU distance and is completely new to this 70.3 World Championships is Sweden's Lisa Norden. She's the Olympic silver medalist from London 2012, but due to injuries has not yet made it to the World Championships until here in Nice, and she is known for being incredibly strong on the bike, and recently she's actually become the Swedish national champion in both time trial and road race. And then finally, a couple of wildcards who have had a lot of success over ITU racing, but due to injuries haven't yet reached their peak when it comes to 70.3, and that's Paula Finley from Canada and Barbara Riveros of Chile, so keep an eye out for those guys on race day as well. And now onto the men's stack field, and it's really hard to even select just a few more from this field, but if we start in the water with the swim and those athletes that are known to be incredibly fast in this first discipline, we obviously have to include Josh Amberger, who is known for leading out the swim on pretty much any occasion, but he's looking likely to be joined by fellow Australian Sam Appleton, and Ben Canute, the American, is likely to be in the mix as well. We're also hoping to make that front group will be Great Britain's Adam Bowden and Norway's Gustav Eden, hot off his top 10 finish at the ITU Grand Final less than a week ago, and those guys will be no doubt looking to put a real gap into the rest of the chasing athletes, but they are going to include the likes of the endurance specialists such as the reigning Ironman world champion Patrick Lange. And then finally, our wild card for the men's side is Andrew Starkovich, who's obviously known for his strong bike, being the current Ironman bike split world record holder, and with this tough course here in Nice he'll be looking to use that to his advantage. Well, as you can see, it is going to be an incredibly exciting 2 days of racing here in Nice, and I just say bring on race day. I know that I certainly couldn't put money on the podium finishes, even thanks to the advice from Thorsten Radde and Ryan Cooper, so I'm excited for that one. Hopefully you guys are too. Give us a thumbs up like if you enjoyed this video, but I do sadly have to go and do some work because I've got plenty more videos to make here, and to make sure that you don't miss any of them, click on the globe on screen, and if you want to see a video we made on swimming rotation drills, you can find that one just down here.